Hi guys, welcome back to our series, and in this one we're going to try and make use of various things that we learned for the past couple of videos, and we'll try to combine them to just make a simple AI. But don't get too excited, because it's not going to use any of the established AI techniques such as behavior trees or goal-oriented action planning, or even finite state machines. What we're about to build is going to be super simple, just basic behavior of an actor, or some basic logic that is run each tick. And then sometime later on, once we're happy with all the concepts related to those things, particularly with the theory behind behavior trees, for example, we're going to then slowly transition to building Blackboard and behavior tree stuff in UE. And I'll also provide a link to how to do behavior trees if you want to get ahead. On that note, let's begin by adding a blueprint class. Actor. We're going to call this simple AI. How about that? For the visual bits, let's add a static mesh. And then, actually, let's do a cube. Yeah. It's going to be just a simple cube that we're going to do something, I suppose. Compile and save as per usual. And then in the event graph, let's get rid of these bits. We're going to use the event tick. And what are we going to do? Let's have a think. Suppose we want a cube that kind of floats around us or close to the main character. How about that? Let's create a variable to store our character. I'm going to call it player. It's going to be a public variable, and let's change the type to actor. Compile, save, and then let's create our simple AI somewhere. Over here, for example. This is where the camera is, so let's just move it away, something like that. That will do. Yeah, let's make it float for now, because I want to start moving it, and I don't want to get into some kind of clipping position. The player, we're going to select first-person character. I'm kind of going over this because reasonably quickly, because we already covered these things earlier in previous sessions. So you have an instance variable here that you can set. Right, so now it knows about our player. How about if the distance between us, and us being the cube, and the player is greater than some value, then we start moving towards the player. So it's a very simple sort of if statement if you're writing in code. We'll probably need a branch here, and that branch is going to have a condition which is the distance. So let's call that the distance. Well, first of all, we need to obtain a location. Or I suppose we can just drag player over here, and then drag the cube over here, and then get the location that way. Get or location, and do the same for the player. And how about distance? There we go. This will give us the distance between 2 points, although it calls it vector. And that distance needs to be greater than something. Greater than, or equal to, I guess. Let's use 250, however long that is, and then it goes inside this branch. You can clean it up later. For now, I'm just going to keep adding stuff. So if it's false, we do nothing. If it's true, then we start moving towards the player. Add actor local offset. How about that? We need to figure out the vector from the cube to the player, right? Because we want to move towards the player. So this delta location is the vector. In which case we need to use the location of the player minus the cube. That'll give us a vector, which we probably want to normalize so that we can add our own speed to it. And then we're going to multiply the return by, say, 10 units per frame. Is that a lot? Is that not a lot? We're going to see. Let's try that. Compile, save, and then hit run. So here's my cube. And if I move away, it follows me. Nice. It's pretty good. If I'm close, it doesn't do anything. And collisions are enabled, so it just starts pushing other stuff around. 250 is probably a bit small. Let's exit and change this to like 750 or something. And then kind of move further away. It just starts floating towards you. I think that's all right. It should give you some ideas, and you can use these ideas to experiment with some simple AI. I'm concerned even calling this AI because, you know, it's just a function that runs. How do you define AI, I guess? Anyway, so in this video, we used the event tick to drive our logic for a so-called AI, which is basically a cube that uses its location and the player's location in order to figure out where the player is and how far we are from it. And if we are quite far, by quite far we mean 750 units, then we move towards the player. Moving towards a point means adding a vector to your location, where the vector points to the point points to the point towards which you're going. And that vector can be obtained by subtracting one point from another. The point, which is the player's location is this one. We then subtract our location. We get back a vector, which we normalize, which means to turn to unit vector. It's a vector of length 1. And then we multiply to give it some speed. Otherwise, it's going to be super slow. And then based on that vector, we move our actor, which contains the cube. Right, I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.